So my thought of the week is there is nothing like the love you give to and receive from your grandkids. I'd say we love them more, but I know we don't love them more. We just love them differently from how we loved y'all. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because we were focused on raising y'all, and what I mean by raising, providing financially, feeding you, clothing you, um, protecting you from, because I was kind of a not overbearing parent. What's the name? Overprotective.
A helicopter parent?
Uh, you think I was a helicopter parent?
No, I don't.
No,
I
you
was
just
just
saying.
saying, like, I thought that was the word you were looking for.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I was that
But you was a little bit
much.
overprotective.
I was so just focusing on keeping you protected, not letting you go different places. If I don't know your friends, and you remember you asked me one time, in front of the little boy, if you could spend the night at his house. You remember that?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
really remember. I remember you
You don't
telling me
remember?
about it. Uh-uh.
Yeah. And I'm like, boy, don't you ever do that again. I don't know him or his folks. So just having to protect you from the unknown dangers, um, teaching y'all manners, saying yes, ma'am, being respectful to the elderly,
Mhm.
the authority figures in your life, just teaching you just basic manners, and also education, seeing to you doing your homework, seeing to you getting the grades, seeing to you taking the right classes to go to college, all of that stuff. We were just more focused on raising you,
Mhm.
and we don't have to do that with your kids. That's your responsibility.
Mhm.
So we get to be more laid back. Like, of course, I worry about, their safety. When I was just on the phone the other day, when Devaney was showing me Riley playing in the snow
Mhm.
and and sliding, and I was like, "What is that? Is that a drop off right there behind you?" I was like,
Yeah.
Devaney, get my baby," and she playing around. Mama, she all right. Devaney, don't play like. So we still worry about our grandkids' safety, but that's not our main focus. We focus on spoiling them,
Mhm.
doing things for them that we didn't let y'all do. Um, not a lot of the things, because we are strict with our grandkids too, just not as strict. I don't let them go places and misbehave. So there are still some things we did with you that we're going to do with them too.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, we're more laid back. Y'all have to focus on the education, protecting them, feeding them, clothing them. So I think that the love is more flow. It flows more because we don't have that stress of all the other things that goes along with raising you. So that's my take. That's my thought of the week. Um,
I think
we love
the
them. We love them to death. Oh my gosh, there's nothing like the love. Like I said, the love we give to them, but we also receive from them. Oh my gosh, the hugs, hearing them say Mimi, Papa, or what Grace and Mila say now, Poppy. There's nothing like it. And I just love it.
Um, m my only quote unquote rebuttal is that you said we are responsible for raising them, but when we come down there Those kids are y'all kids.
Yeah, y'all try to do that. Yeah, you try to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, but it definitely does the same thing. Not, and I know y'all don't do it purposely, like, oh, you know what? Oh, they're yours. No, we
Mhm.
know, you and Aaliyah don't have anybody out there. Definitely don't have anybody out there with her. So we know when you come home, like y'all need a break, and that's fine.
Mhm.
That's fine. As long as you don't abuse it, it's okay.
Yeah. Um. So my thought of the week is just about the recent news from like the month of January and the recent things that's been going on with ICE. So first, ICE has killed 8 people, 3 American citizens since the beginning of January. One wasn't even on the news. It was like New Year's Eve day or New Year's Day. Keith Porter Jr. in Los Angeles was killed by an off-duty ICE agent. Renee Good was killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, and most recently, Alex Preddy was killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. What's crazy is that, so I said 8, so 5 other people that were killed in ISIS custody have been migrants, whether illegal or legal.
Mm,
They've still killed 8 people, to include 3 American citizens. The issue with Minneapolis is that, one, Minneapolis has not been a city, or Minnesota in general as a state has not been a place where uh, the migrant population has been an issue. Um, to caveat that, I don't think that I don't like to use the word issue anyway. Immigrants aren't an issue to this country. Most of this country belonged to what we call now immigrants. Um,
exactly.
but in Minnesota specifically, you know, Canadians aren't illegally coming across the border, so they don't have an issue with Canadians crossing over. Um, there are Mexican immigrants in Minneapolis. However, one of the biggest immigrant populations in Minneapolis are Somalians.
Mm,
So, and they aren't an issue as well. So, the fact that Minneapolis is now a target city in this whole ICE takeover, one, is wrong. Two, they are and have killed 2 American citizens just in this past month in that city. One being Alex Preddy, who, like, my next issue on that is the fact that he did everything right. I also don't think Renee Good did anything wrong, but Alex Preddy was out protesting. He was trying to get in the way of an ICE agent that was pepper spraying a woman.
mm,
So he was doing his civic duty to protect his woman. He was legally carrying a concealed firearm that the ICE agents did not know he had until they wrestled him to the ground for protecting this woman. He never
mm.
reached for it. He never attempted to use it. They found it. They disarmed him. And then they shot him 10 times after that.
Wow.
And now the ravers of First Amendment rights and Second Amendment rights are quiet. To add to that, Don Lemon has also just recently been arrested for exercising his First Amendment rights and being a journalist.
Crazy.
So Don Lemon rights have been suppressed. Alex Preddy's rights were suppressed. His First and Second Amendment rights, and he was killed for it. And these ravers are quiet now. But the selective outrage is what I don't appreciate, because they only want to talk about rights suppression when they are defending the people who use those rights to spew hate and to unjustly kill and hurt people.
Yeah.
So if y'all are going to be, because nobody gets, these folks in particular don't get as upset as they should when these armed white kids go in schools killing kids and teachers, or these murderous men go out into these cities committing mass shootings. It's protect our Second Amendment. Protect our Second Amendment. That's a isolated incident. It's not an isolated incident because it always happens. But then it's protect our Second Amendment. And when Kyle Rittenhouse took his cross state lines as a minor and took an AR-15, I could be wrong. Maybe I think it was an AR-15, but anyways, an assault rifle to a protest and killed 2 people, he was labeled as an American hero. Alex Preddy did everything right, exercised his First and Second Amendment rights, didn't even attempt to use his weapon, and he was killed. And now the goalpost has moved to just comply and don't bring a gun to a protest. So which one is it?
Which one is it? You're right.
Which one is it? The selective outrage just shows me that you don't really care about the gun issue. You don't really care about people. You don't really care about Second Amendment and First Amendment rights. What you care about is upholding, let's be clear, white supremacy. And that's what's happening. And that's my thought of the week.
Unfortunately, yes, that's what's happening. Okay, so welcome to another episode of the Making Groceries podcast with myself, Missy,
And Devon.
This week is Lessons at the Kitchen Table. And although we say lessons at the kitchen table, everybody doesn't have lessons, aren't always taught per se at the kitchen table. You may have your own kitchen table, such as in the car, conversations with your parents, mom, dad, in the car. That's your kitchen table where you learn your lessons. Going fishing. You went fishing with your dad, right? I'm pretty sure you learned some lessons from your dad going fishing. However, we're talking about at the kitchen table because that's where most of our connections, communication, not most of it, a lot of it came from. Because we sat at the kitchen table, we ate breakfast, we ate dinner. I don't think we ate lunch together, but we ate breakfast.
Yeah, there were times where we ate lunch as well.
Lunch too? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it was sacred too at the kitchen table. But a lot of the lessons, I believe, that was taught was about respect, trust, faith, and life skills. So not only did we teach our children those lessons, we also learned, I think for us as parents, we got to learn about our children, who they are, what they liked, what they enjoyed doing, just from a lot of those conversations. Because it's about sharing, which where the trust comes in. They trusted us enough to share their thoughts Um, and that was sometimes I asked uh, Devon and his brother questions, about their personal lives, and they felt uh comfortable enough to share those things with me. Because I think, at that kitchen table, that's what we were building. We were building trust with our children. The respect, of course. Now when my husband and I grew up, especially for me, my mom and dad, I said yes, ma'am, no, sir, to them. However, um, I thought that my kids didn't have to say yes, ma'am, or no, sir to us as parents.
So let me
Now,
ask you a question about that.
what?
So yeah, you or daddy didn't make us say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. But you say your parents did. Um, did they ever kind of explain to you why, or like as a child, did you feel that like, okay, I'm saying yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir to them, but like, uh, is the is the respect really there? Do they respect me enough? Are they just making me say this because they're authority figures, or are they making me say this because they're actually trying to teach me what respect and respecting the elders are?
I think it's both, but I think also it was just traditional. You know, in I'm not gonna say back in those days because it wasn't that long ago,
Mhm.
but it was just more traditional. Um, Respecting our elders, and I guess, like, my daddy has some control issues too. So I think um for him it was more of control. Um but I think with me, especially, I can't say for your daddy, but with me, I I know what respect looks like.
Mhm.
Um so you guys didn't have to say yes ma'am or no ma'am to me, as long as you responded to me in a way that's respectful. It didn't have to end with ma'am.
Right.
But when you were out, at school or anywhere with other adults,
Mhm.
yeah, it was automatically yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, and no, sir.
Yeah.
Because, I know that, people older than me, that's just it was just the way of life. It was tradition. For
Mhm.
me anyway. I'm pretty sure there was some people that still my age didn't. But the school system was so much different too. Like, man, being a teacher and seeing the school system
Yeah.
how it is now compared to how I grew up.
Mhm.
Like, man, I remember going to when we moved to California when I was 12, and my gym teacher, she was talking to me and I said, "Yes, ma'am." She looked at me crazy. So I guess it's not a way of life for everybody because, Southerners and
That's just how we
uh
talk.
yeah, exactly. But I guess in California that wasn't tradition. You don't have to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just felt like that as long as I got the respect from you that I deserve and that was expected, you didn't have to put ma'am or sir behind it.
Mhm. Now I make my kids do it. Um, and I don't, it was just something that kind of happened. It wasn't like
Yeah.
something I just like you came out. I'm gonna make my kids do this. It's just something that
Yeah,
kind of happened.
I just thought, yeah. I mean, I know you do, but I didn't think about it. I forgot. Yeah, your kids, yeah, they do answer y'all,
Mhm.
yes, ma'am, and no, sir. You're right.
Um,
So why?
and I'm not sure. Like I said, it just happened, and because they've been doing it since they were so young, and even when I met Aaliyah, Kai was doing that with her.
Okay.
So I wasn't gonna like stop that, and I know my kids already did it with me too.
Yeah.
So it was easy for us to kind of like um just take that into our marriage and into with our kids. Um because that was just something that was already happening. And now because it is a thing, now we just like ensure they do it. Not we don't they're getting a little older now, the boys,
Yeah.
so it's not always a like sometimes I really don't care if they do it or not because
Yeah.
I know the foundation of respect is there now.
The foundation, you're right. Mhm.
But also I still don't let them one, it depends on what I'm talking to them about.
Yeah.
Two, I actually just had to correct Kai like
Mhm.
last week because like I said, they're getting a little older and stuff. So like I said, I know the foundation is there and they're not doing it out of like disrespect.
Yeah.
But sometimes what Kai had started doing a lot of like with me and Aaliyah, we'd tell him something or we'd ask him something, he said, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I told him I was like, hey, like you're getting too comfortable with that, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if I'm asking you a question, if your mama asks you a question, like don't forget what we've required of y'all for like years now. It's
Yeah.
cool if you say it like yes or okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not about to take you saying mm-hmm to me after every question or after every time I tell you something or whatever. So since then he's been catching himself. He's gotten better.
Okay.
Josiah, we never really have an issue with him. Sometimes I gotta tell him so and I do it with all of them sometimes. I say like, oh, go do this and they say okay and I say, huh? And they say, oh yes, yes, sir. You know,
Oh, yeah.
or they'll do it
Uh-huh.
to or Leah do it to them too, like tell them and they say like, and I know it's not out of disrespect. So
Yeah.
I don't get like mad about it. Um,
But you have
but
to
also
remind them.
I don't want them to get super comfortable with not super comfortable. They are comfortable with me. I don't want them to get so used to not because they're still young. And although the foundation is set, they're still young and they're still very impressionable. So I don't want them to
Yeah.
get to a point where they aren't saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir to me and Aaliyah, and that starts to carry over into other elders.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Mhm. And that's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, because I know when when Grace if I ask Grace something and, she'll say, "Yeah," and y'all will correct her and say, "What are you supposed to say?" "What did you say?" She'll, "Yes, ma'am."
Hmm.
Ooh-wee, that girl there.
She's stubborn though.
Oh my gosh.
She
She
do it
didn't
on her
steal it.
own a lot though,
She didn't steal it.
and she got it from Aaliyah. So you
Oh
said
god.
trust,
Yes.
respect. So what's some other key
Faith,
ones for you? Okay.
basically we always said our prayers, our
Mhm.
blessings,
Mhm.
but not just that, um, like we talked about before, we talked about God at the kitchen table too. And I'm not gonna say I purposely try to um talk about God during our table moments, but I think it was just I just wanted y'all to understand that we can't do anything without God,
Mhm. Yeah.
and He's all around. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter where we are, what we do, and
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 remember
what you say?
real quick, remember we said we had talked before that like when you are and obviously it's a journey, your Christian journey, but when you are like tapped into your faith, you
Yeah,
see him in everything. So you don't always like purposely try to just like put your beliefs on people.
yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time, like it's easy for it to just come out and say, talk about him because you see him and everything, you especially with your children.
exactly, especially, and I think about when we went on vacation, not Christmas, yeah, Christmas. Remember we went to
23?
Tennessee? Yeah, for
Mhm.
Christmas, and I was making the shirts, and all of them, no matter what your design was, I
Mhm.
was putting the same scripture on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Deja asked me, because Danae and Cam's image was what, Santa and a reindeer, and they were drinking. You remember the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
image?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with the big uh pitcher of beer or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And she said, you putting the scripture on that image? And I was like, yeah, why not? Like God is with us if we're drinking, if
Mhm.
we're in church, like
Mhm.
he's still everywhere,
Mhm.
and that's what I guess, what I wanted to teach y'all. Like God is everywhere. You can't hide from him.
Yeah.
I think you learned that lesson when you didn't eat that candy on the bus when you were punished, when you knew you didn't. But I love that because that was my goal, to make y'all see I'm not around you all the time. So I don't want you to behave just because I'm around or your daddy is around. No. When we are not around, you have to know that God is watching.
Mhm.
So it's about character, it's about integrity too.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's faith. Oh yes, that was a big one. So did you feel like your faith was growing?
Like, coming up as we were having dinner and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a child, you don't really think about it that way,
No, yeah.
but, like,
Mhm.
looking back on it, yeah, because, like we always talk about, y'all were laying a foundation. Um,
Yeah.
so although I didn't, like, really tap into it, you know, like I did as I got older, um, it it did establish my faith. I I can look back on, like, it growing. Like I said, just as a teenager, I didn't think of it that way. But I was also, even at that time, like being in high school, being in middle school and stuff, I, there were times where we would have conversations. I would have conversations with my friends or people who thought differently about certain things, and there were times where I would bring up God, because although I
Really?
didn't think about, I remember one specifically with um the Josh, you remember him? We were talking, and we were talking in band one day. He was talking about how uh being gay was a bigger sin or whatever than like,
Mm.
basically he was like, oh, it's the biggest sin you can commit.
Mhm.
And I was telling him, I was like, first of all, like, who cares if anybody is gay? Like, like, people like who they like, people love
Yeah.
who they love. Why does that even matter?
Yeah.
But on top of it, if you want to call it a sin, um, what about everything else? Because a sin is a sin in God's eyes. So if you want to call this gay person a sinner, call this heterosexual person next to you who's fornicating a sinner too. Call this person behind you who's stealing a sinner.
Exactly.
And I told him, like, it doesn't matter what the sin is. A sin is a sin. So
Mhm.
that just kind of say, like, that there, y'all, us having those conversations at the table about faith, us, going to church, growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
um it did set the foundation for, the relationship I have with God now.
Yeah. Good. And I think it also for your other siblings, Danae and I talk about um God. Me and Deb also talk about God. Um you and I talk about God. And that's what I wanted to be a normal conversation, because some people think talking about God is taboo.
Yeah, a lot of people view it that way.
Yeah, and I could say I kind of understand because I think like before I was a believer and even afterwards, you hear people talk about God and it's like, yeah, like what you trying to overcompensate for something? But
Mhm.
I guess, but and it wasn't everybody. I guess some people just um wanted you to know that they knew God in a way that's like the Pharisee. Like it wasn't genuine, you know.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
could be
so
off-putting.
yeah, exactly. And I remember the pastor saying, like some people are so heavenly bound that they're no earthly good. You
Mhm.
know,
My
you
mother-in-law
talking
always
about,
say that.
oh, really?
Mhm.
You remember the pastor saying that?
No.
No, I think you were younger. Yeah. But yeah, because me and your mother-in-law, we talk about God too. I talk
Mhm.
about God with anybody,
Mhm.
anybody I can who wants to talk about it because
Mhm.
I don't try to force my beliefs on people, but I believe that, you know, you all are my children and not to say that what I believe in, you should believe in, but I felt like that was a way for me to show you what I believe in
Yeah.
and you have your choice. You can either accept it or deny it.
Mhm.
Yeah. But and on top of that, you know, the lessons, life skills, just learning to get along with others. We talked about that. I think communication, right?
Yeah. And,
Mm.
um, so you mentioned communication. That's one of my lessons is that it just taught us like communication is key. It basically just taught us obviously other aspects of life, going to school, going to church, you know, being around other family members and stuff also teaches you important life skills. But specifically, us having those conversations at the kitchen table taught us a lot about just communication, um, how to conduct yourself in a conversation, how
How to
to
wait your turn, like you
how,
said, wait your turn.
how to wait your turn, how to be honest, even when you really when it kind of makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if it's one thing, like as a kid, that like being honest wasn't hard for me. Being honest with y'all was like more uncomfortable. So I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, but learning that as a kid, like, you know, I can be honest with my parents and then also the response that y'all gave us for being honest.
Mhm.
You know, it teaches you like, okay, like if I could be honest with my parents, like, you know, I could be honest with everybody else because if my parents and if my parents are going to respond to my honesty in a loving way for the most part. Not saying they won't get upset if I say something or whatever. Not saying there still won't be
Yeah.
consequences, but at the same time, like you get credit for being honest. And
Exactly.
I was able to take that into my adulthood. Other people like you ask me a question, cool. I'm gonna tell you what it is. You know,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Do you remember, when you first went to Lisa Park and the little boy that was what was he? What did he have autism? Remember the little boy?
uh,
And it was you just
yeah,
arrived there
mm-hmm,
and they told you to say garbage can, I think it was. Is
yeah,
that what it was? And they knew that, you know, he would react.
a certain way
But
to that. Yeah,
yeah, and you were the only one who told the truth about it, and you got in trouble. And man, whew, I was hot. I was,
mm-hmm,
you know, and I told you, I said, oh, so he gets. I asked the assistant, okay, so he's the only one that tells the truth, and he gets in trouble behind it. I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, that's fine." And I told you, I said, "You know what? That's okay. Sometimes life isn't fair. But you know what?
Mhm.
You take your consequences, but you have to know that telling the truth is still the best way to go." You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, oh yeah, I was
But,
hot. I was
of course, I
hot.
got in trouble because I was the young black kid from back town that came from Southtown,
Exactly.
so they thought I was a troublemaker,
Although you were the only one who told the truth.
although I was the only one who told the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, even, like, being honest, just, also just learning how to communicate with my siblings. Obviously, we communicated all throughout the day and stuff like that with other things, but, um,
Mhm.
just the communication that we were able to establish as a family, it just made us closer. And so now with me having my own family, you also see, like, to the point of communication too, it also kind of showed us that, like, having family dinner doesn't mean everybody got to be quiet and super, like, robotic, and table manners got to be on point, like 100%.
Yeah,
Like, we can talk and we can laugh and stuff, and that's what it. Because sometimes you watch TV and you see sometimes, like, family dinners being portrayed as this, like, super formal,
yeah,
super uptight kinda thing.
uh-huh.
So, like, for us, it was like, it ain't formal at all, like, we just sitting here talking and communicating with each other, and we eating, off of paper plates, and,
Yeah,
like, drinking out of, Mardi Gras cups or whatever. Um, but
yeah,
it I guess it just kinda showed us that, like, communication at the table is normal. So, me and Aaliyah do that with our kids a lot. We sit at the table, and same with us, like, we ain't no bougie people, we eat off of paper plates and
yeah,
and all of that, but, um, outside of that, like, we talk and we laugh and we joke, and we make having family dinner a common, um, just a very meaningful but informal thing.
and I think, it was intentional because, like I said before, like, it was sacred, like, we didn't have our phones, me and your daddy didn't have our phones, and you weren't y'all weren't allowed to have your phones at the table. No, this is family time, we gonna
Yeah.
spend time talking to each other.
Mhm. And yeah, we don't allow our kids to have our phones. Sometimes me and Aaliyah bring our phones today, but we still not, like, sitting on it, but people be calling us, and, I be getting work calls and stuff like that. So even if I don't bring it to the table, sometimes I'll, like, leave it on the sofa and turn the volume up. But even if I do bring it to the table, sometimes I'll just put it under my leg, or just put it face down, and that carries over into even when we outside our house. Me and Aaliyah just went on a date last night,
Mhm.
went to eat out, and we might scroll our phone here and there. Um,
Yeah.
but for the most part, we talking to each other. The first thing we usually do when we sit down, she'll, like, put her phone in her purse. I'll put mine on the table, flip it over. And to the folks who feel like flipping over a phone when you're with your spouse is hiding something, no, I ain't got nothing to hide from my wife. I flip my phone over so we can give each other undivided
Yeah,
attention.
undivided attention, yeah, because if
Um,
it's flipped over, you can see the
you can
notifications
see
coming,
notifications coming through.
yeah,
I
you
get
might be
buku
tempted.
notifications. I get
Yeah.
buku notifications from ESPN, Bleacher Report. People be sending me messages on Facebook and text messages. My sister's constantly blowing up the group chat, like
Oh
stuff
my
like that.
goodness. Yes, of
but
course.
but but you mentioned, like, just having that family time and it being sacred, and that's what it's become from us, and that's a big lesson that I took from it as well, was family time and fellowship is important.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
So that's one of my, I guess, like, biggest lessons really from, on top, even, with the stuff that you mentioned as well. That stuff is also important, and that's kind of, it's just wrapped up into, like, the family time and the communication. With all of that comes the trust and the talks about faith and, the respect and all of that, because we talk
and
about everything. We ask our kids about school. We talk to them about with the older boys, like we'll talk to them about the being respectful, with little girls and stuff like that. We talk to them about being role models to Josiah and to Grace. We joke and we laugh about stuff. We talk to them about having proper table manners. It's been times where I purposely just have a conversation with them about God, and so yeah, my biggest takeaway is just that like family time is important and family fellowship is important. One thing we did with y'all was obviously we ate at the kitchen table. I've taken that into my family,
Yeah.
but outside of that, um, family time in general is important. So once I take that lesson away from the table, go into like watching movies together,
Yeah.
um, taking my kids out to do this, or go. Last thing I took them to Kai and Josiah, I took them to the Black Rodeo that was out here just a few weeks ago. I took Kai to a parade a couple weeks ago. It's something as simple as just taking them to the store with me. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll be in my man cave playing the game sometimes. I'll let them sit in here with me. Aaliyah do her things with them as well. So
Hmm.
that's just my biggest thing is just that family is important. So whether you at the kitchen table, whether you at the kitchen table eating dinner together, eating breakfast together, and that's something we do too. Like a lot of times, especially on the week, we don't really have time. We don't have to do that during the week when we're working and
During the
stuff.
week.
But
Yeah.
uh, most Saturdays, we'll get up and we'll eat breakfast together. Uh, So, like I say, outside of the kitchen table, we watch movies together. We are in a car, joking and laughing.
Hmm.
When we go on road trips, we'll like, play games in a car, I Spy and the alphabet game and stuff like that. Um,
So, like you said, there are many other times than just at the kitchen table where
right.
you are bonding, connecting, and bonding.
Hmm.
And I can see how by me and your dad doing it with you all, how you've adopted that. And I can say, I can speak for your daddy too. I don't think they ever sat at the kitchen table together, him and his family. Um, and I could say I vaguely remember it also. So, but that's what me and your dad, you all were our focus.
Hmm.
So anything that we thought that was beneficial for you all is what we did, whether we did it as children or not, whether it
Hmm.
was, done for us as children or not.
Yeah.
We just tried to do what was best for you all. And like we talk about conversations and what I kind of, I think about which wasn't talked about more is finances.
Oh
So now
yeah.
yeah, so now but I would like you to do that with yours, because financial literacy is so important. Know?
Yeah. We do that. We should probably start doing it a little more again. Um,
Okay,
we
good.
talk to them about finances. They have debit cards, so we're trying to get to like teaching them how to manage money.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't we haven't given them like an allowance now, probably about a year because
Okay.
they don't consistently do right. So,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so they don't
and I tell
deserve.
them like,
Yeah,
y'all got to earn that, but obviously we've given
exactly.
them birthday money and,
Mhm.
uh, we bought them wallets for Christmas and stuff like that. So, we try to and if they know they got some money in their accounts and stuff,
Mhm.
we 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 buy a lot for our kids, but we also make them spend their own money, like when we go in the stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, hey, you want something, you want some candy, or you want this, or you want to look at a toy, you want to buy it. You got enough money for it?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I done bought all of this stuff for y'all, and I don't mind buying it, but
Yeah,
also, like, you got your own money, so you need to start learning how to manage your money. If you got $30 in your account and you want this toy that's 27, Imma tell you straight up. One, either I'm just not gonna let you buy it because Imma tell you, like, you're not being smart, or Imma let you
yeah,
buy it and let you know, "Hey, like, you only gonna have a few dollars left."
yeah,
But anyway, yeah, like, we talk about finances with them and stuff. We wanna start talking more about it and just about more, like, nuanced finance things. Because like you say, that conversation is important because even in the Black community, we don't talk about finances enough.
yeah. And I want to tell you, I mean, I want to give a shout out to this little boy, Caden Harris.
Who's that?
I was watching, I was watching what is called Big RV Fix or something like that with Big Boy and his
Oh,
business
yeah.
partner. And, they fix up people's RVs and the little boy, Caden Harris, I think he's in Georgia somewhere. Um, but he has a bus. They fixed his bus up. I think he's like 10 and he goes around in a certain area. He doesn't because I was looking to see if he can come to our church, but they don't venture out of the state. They only there's a radius that they cover. I think like 20 miles. I looked it up. Um, so just locally, he goes around to schools or I don't know, maybe churches, whoever request him, and teach the kids about financial literacy. So if y'all want to teach your children, your grandchildren about financial literacy, look up because he has books, he has games, I think it is, that teach children about financial. He also
That little
has a
dude, like,
curriculum.
he a young dude?
Yeah, he's a young black guy.
Oh, alright.
Like 10. Uh-huh.
Oh, like a little kid.
Yeah, kid.
Oh,
Yeah. Caden Harris. So
mm,
look him up. But yeah. So yeah, so that's something you can do that we didn't. And that's what as parents, we have to be accountable and not be like, oh, I was the best parent, but you can't teach what you don't know.
right,
And but be accountable and say, okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Maybe I could have taught you that.
right.
So, and that's when you were talking, I'm like, yeah, we didn't teach you guys about financial literacy
Yeah,
because actually it wasn't taught
y'all
to
weren't
us. We
taught
had to
financial
learn it on
literacy.
our own. Huh?
Y'all weren't taught financial literacy.
Yeah,
And to your
exactly.
point, like, in the Black community, most people aren't taught about financial literacy because all the things as Black people that we've had to face that have disenfranchised us and not allowed us to be able to talk about finances because we don't know nothing about finance because we don't have nothing to talk about. So
Exactly.
how Imma teach my children about finance when I'm struggling and I'm trying to figure a way, you know?
Exactly.
But
Mhm.
like for me and Aaliyah and for a lot of Black people now, people are getting smart on finances
Yeah,
and should be having those conversations with, at the kitchen table, in the dining room, wherever, with their kids,
exactly.
or not even just their kids, their friends, their parents,
Mm-hmm.
whoever. But thankfully, although we still face oppression and disenfranchisement and all of that, uh, they still don't want us to win. However, Black people are excelling as professionals, entrepreneurs, and all of that. So we are coming into a phase where we having money to be able to teach
Yeah.
our kids about money. Me and Aaliyah, we ain't rich, but we are very good financially.
Yes.
So we have to like take that as an opportunity to be like, okay, like let's try to do what we can to build upon this, not just like
Yeah.
monetarily, but educationally, and teach our kids this so
Exactly.
when they are in their 30s, they can have even more than we have. And granted, it's not all about money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like, we have to be able to put our kids in a position to where they'll never struggle either.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you were saying like more blacks, we are more empowered. Not saying that we weren't back then, but because of the systemic racism and just hatred, period, how we built towns and they were
Mhm.
burned down
Yep,
and torn down. But
and
yeah,
flooded.
this ain't the exactly, yeah, but these are different days. Like, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, we
that ain't
fighting back
happening.
now.
Exactly. That ain't happening anymore. So that's why we are thriving more, Atlanta. We were talking about, I think your daddy told me you sent him
No, he sent me 10, 10 like cities around America, black cities that are growing,
mm,
are not necessarily like some of them aren't necessarily the black cities, but just
yeah,
cities where black people are like really thriving.
yeah.
As
Mhm.
far as like a little small town in New York, of course, all of the four major cities in Texas.
Yeah.
Of course, Atlanta, the Black Mecca, uh,
Mhm.
and Raleigh, North Carolina. Obviously, nothing in Louisiana. As much as I love Louisiana, Louisiana is so far behind on politics, on infrastructure,
On everything,
on
education,
everything, on
everything.
education, all of that. So big shout out
Mhm.
to South Louisiana, but y'all got to get it together.
Yeah,
And I'm not
exactly.
talking about the black people. It's still black people out in New Orleans, out here in Shreveport, wherever, all across Louisiana that's doing big things.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. It's just
but
not
it's not,
as much as the bigger cities.
yeah, because the exposure isn't there either.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, y'all sit at
So,
the table and talk about finances with y'all kids.
yeah. And like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be at the kitchen table. Wherever you have conversations with your children and teach them those life lessons about respect and all of the other things we mentioned. Um,
Trust,
so,
faith,
yeah,
uh,
prayers,
mhm,
respect. Yes.
communication.
Hmm.
Hopefully, y'all can
What?
take something from this. But the biggest question is for you to think about what is your kitchen table. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be the kitchen table, but what is something that is a staple in your family, in your community, where your children, your extended family members, your friends can congregate and have discussions and conversations and be open and honest with each other and fellowship with each other and talk about God. Is it a certain spot in the city? Is it a tree in the neighborhood? Is it the
Yeah.
dining room? So, what's your kitchen table?
Yes. And before we close, we're gonna have our questions, ask a few questions of each other just to tie it into our lessons at the kitchen table. And I'm gonna start with asking Devon, did you enjoy eating out more than eating out or eating at home more? Which
I
one?
I enjoy both because I like to eat, but
Yes.
uh, we grew up going to Sicily's on Tuesdays because kids eat free. And there were days where even daddy would cook and he'd be like, let's just go to Sicily's.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Because even at Sicily, sitting around the big
hmm
table,
everything we did at home, we still did at
we
Sicily's.
still did. Yep.
Um, with a few hiccups here and there with my sisters, but we'll let them tell that story with my little sister. But yeah, I enjoy eating at home more. Um, because subconsciously, like I said, I didn't think about it at the time as a kid, as a teenager, but subconsciously, uh, one, daddy's cooking was better than anywhere we ate,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
also subconsciously, I guess I really enjoyed the being able to just sit and talk with my parents, my siblings, and also just not be around a bunch like at home in our comfort without a bunch of other distractions.
Exactly. Get it. Okay, next one. What was your favorite meal?
Uh, enjoyed a lot. hated cabbage, but my favorite meal was red beans and rice with some type of roast with gravy.
Yeah, you know that gravy. Daddy love his gravy. Oh, he
Mm-hmm.
loves his gravy.
That's them South Louisiana roots.
Yes. I'm trying to break him from it though. Okay, last one. Um, so did you look forward to it? You say you love eating at home. So what did you and you kind of answered that. What did you look forward to? I mean, like as a kid. I know you could look back on it now, but
Mm-hmm.
what do you think as a kid got you excited about eating at the kitchen table with your family?
What? Let me see. I think what got me excited, outside of the food, um,
Yeah.
what got me excited is that I knew that, like, for the most part, uh, we would just like everything. It would just be comfortable. It wouldn't, like we would be able to sit at the table for hours talking, even after we ate.
Yeah.
It might be especially during the week, right? Like it might be the only time where between you and daddy working and us going to school and extracurricular activities and stuff like that, it might be the only time of the day where we got to really like sit down as a family.
Yeah. True.
Um,
And it wasn't like you said, the comfort. Like you knew it wasn't like, oh, dreading that moment. It wasn't a
yeah,
dreadful moment.
right. So as a child, like subconsciously, it's probably wasn't something that I was super excited about, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I never dreaded sitting down with y'all. Now
Yeah.
I did sometimes if I knew I was in trouble or whatever, or if there would be something I'm like, oh, they don't want to talk about this. But
For the most part.
for the most part, it wasn't a dreadful thing.
Yeah.
It was a normal, uh, comfortable thing that we did that, it wasn't dreadful. And I also looked forward to my sisters not finishing their food so I could finish it for them.
Yeah, the garbage disposal. Yeah, I forgot
hmm
about that.
I'm going to eat my 2 plates. I'm going to eat half of what Devin don't eat. Danae don't eat. Deja don't eat. And then I'm going to eat dessert after that.
And the
Me and
dessert
my
was
brother going to split up whatever left.
wait, and the dessert was not a pack of Swiss rolls that come two
Oh,
in a pack.
one Swiss
No,
roll out the pack.
one Swiss roll.
Well, y'all was wrong for that. One Swiss roll out the pack. And also, to add to that, if we did have soda or juice, we only filled it up to like the first or second line. And it was only
Yeah, but
after
y'all didn't
we
have soda a
finished
lot
dinner.
though.
We didn't have soda a lot. It was mostly,
No.
it was mostly juice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
uh, that was that was what I was excited about.
yeah, it was 5 of y'all, baby. We had to ration that food and those sweets. Ah,
All right, so my first question for you is something I already know the answer to, but is it true that you did more cooking when we were too young to remember?
yeah, you know what? And I could say so I think by the time Devaney was Good Street. So by the time Devaney was we moved to Good Street in 96. So Devaney was golly, 6. So Devaney was only 6. What?
When we
No.
moved to Good Street, we moved to Good Street what
Yeah.
year?
Can't be.
97, huh?
96 because I was pregnant with Danae.
I think it was the
So
beginning of 97.
97? Okay.
I believe
So
so.
Devaney was probably 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you were
About
5?
4.5, almost 5.
almost 5. Deja was
3?
4. Oh, yeah, you were 4 now. Yeah, you're right. 3. So, gosh, because that's when your daddy start cooking, like,
Mm,
consistently on Good Street.
30 years ago almost.
Wow. So, yeah, y'all don't remember when I cooked at all, huh?
Nah, I don't remember you cooking at all. Like, actually, like, cooking, you know,
Like
3,
meals,
4
like,
nights a week meals, right. Like,
yeah,
like, your your
fettuccine.
baked spaghetti and your
Yeah,
fettuccine and stuff like
yeah,
that, and your cornbread dressing or whatever here and there.
exactly. Now,
But
see, I didn't do the spaghetti, the baked spaghetti, the mac and cheese back then.
oh,
I just started
you're
doing
right.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just started doing it. I used to do the, well, when we go to Yankee Kathy,
Oh, when we started going there for our
yeah, I
Austin
used to do
Sunday
the
dinners.
yeah, I used to do
Uh-huh.
the shrimp fettuccine. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have my certain meals I cook. Yeah, I never sat and I never, cooked a whole meal.
Mhm.
No. I
So
do
that
that
you
now.
yeah, you do?
I can yeah, but it's not like I said, it's not those southern meals. Like
Yeah.
I try to stay away from,
Oh, yeah,
I
uh-huh.
yeah, I gotta watch what I eat.
Mhm.
And so since your daddy don't cook like he used to, um, I cook a lot of the quicker, healthier
Yeah,
meals,
right.
Yeah.
So that lead me to my next question, another one that I pretty much know the answer to. Did you really enjoy, um, the days that daddy was at work and you didn't have to cook?
Ooh, I did. Yeah, like you said, I didn't cook anyway, and y'all were old enough. I'm trying to think about when you were too young to go fix a sandwich. When your daddy worked overnight, we had he cooked. We had leftovers, you
Mhm.
know. But I could say, I mean, if I really think back, when y'all were younger, I'm pretty sure there were times that I had to cook something.
Yeah, I mean, there was times where you
Yeah,
would make, like, some chicken and a pot of green beans or something
yeah,
and
yeah,
rice
something
or
simple.
whatever,
Yeah, it's
but,
something simple.
I mean, even I enjoyed that sometimes when daddy was at work and, like, it was, where you'd just be like, "Y'all better find something in there." "Alright, cool, I'm
Yeah,
about to make me,
exactly.
like, some 2 packs of noodles." I say ghetto,
Yeah,
but essentially, like, 2 packs of noodles, throw some sausage in it,
exactly.
eat
Mhm.
something out the freezer or whatever.
Yeah, but you liked, I'm about to expose you, but you liked when your daddy went to work because you and Danae would take turns sleeping with
Oh my god. Ma, I
But
ain't never
that's
sleep in the bed with
fine.
you.
But that's fine. I enjoyed that. My baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would, sometimes I just get in the bed before you even got in the bed.
Yeah, yeah, because I went to bed late. I
Mhm.
usually went to bed late. Yeah. I was probably in there watching TV or something anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could really remember like a specific time.
Mhm.
'Cause I know y'all did, you and Danae took turns, but
She'd be like, I'm sleeping with mama tonight." "No, you ain't."
uh,
Did Dev and Deja ever sleep in the bed with you?
they did. I think they did maybe a couple of times. And it's crazy because I can see like when you went off to college and when Danae went off to college, y'all wanted to come home too much all the time.
Yeah, I came
You
on way too
know?
much.
Like y'all had what they call it? What they call it? Separation
Separation
anxiety.
anxiety?
Yeah, but although Deja never left to go far away from us like Dev did, like Dev was fine. Dev went way to California.
Mhm.
But she came home as much as she could. I think she came home at least a couple of times, 2 to 3 times a year.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but the separation anxiety, you and Danae definitely had. Oh yeah. Y'all definitely had separation anxiety. Y'all loved us just so much.
You know what's crazy is that, like, Dev get in the bed with you all the time now, though.
She does. Danae does. Danae will come
Yeah,
here.
every
Danae
every
came
time
here.
we home and, like, Dev
Uh-huh.
or But there, they'll they'll come get in the bed with you, like, just
In the
sit in the
bed.
bed with
Uh-huh.
you or take a nap or whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Danae, when it was, maybe a few months ago, she called me and she said, Mama, she said, where daddy? She said, cause I'm coming get in the bed with you. And she was at home. She was at her
Mm.
apartment. I was like, come on, babe. I'm in the bed. Come on.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
What you mean?
Oh, well,
What you mean?
for Dev now, because they said Dev didn't really get in the bed with you.
Yeah, Deb didn't really,
Does
yeah.
Deja get in the
But
bed with you now?
no.
Oh.
Like if she come, if I'm in the bed and she comes, she'll uh like lean
Like
over
lean
on the
on the
bed.
bed, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Deja is. I just told her yesterday. I say you were the private, secretive one. Deja is more private. She's kind of withdrawn. I think she is. She's little withdrawn,
She's just like
but
an
it's okay.
aggravating nephew,
Oh,
Dayton.
Dayton? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dayton's like that?
I mean,
Withdrawn, like?
on top of being disrespectful, but yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
whole
whole
nother
nother conversation for a whole
so
nother day.
oh.
So, my last question is something that I don't already know, but like where where did you find the will to establish the foundation of us sitting at the table with each other? And was that a conversation that you and Daddy had about what y'all wanted to do with y'all's family, or was it something that just happened?
Yeah, but like I said earlier, it was, I didn't have that growing up. But I think it just come from like me and your daddy just wanting to have that closeness with our children that we didn't necessarily have with our parents. So just wanting to be there for you because baby, we had to figure everything out on our own. Your daddy was 21, I was 22 when we got together and started having children, get
Mhm.
married. So yeah, there's a lot we had to figure out on our own. But that's why I say we get so many compliments, still do. Oh my gosh, your kids are they're so wonderful. Oh, they're so well behaved when we were at the restaurants. But people who know us still say, "Oh my gosh, like your kids they're so mannerable, they're so respectful." And people ask about y'all like Darrell. We see Darrell will ask about you in a
Yeah.
minute. So it's just and me and your daddy always said it's we can't take credit for it. That's what we desired and God made it happen. So and that was just one of the things we did to have that closeness, taking y'all on vacation, just spending time. So it was just our desire. It really was. And God um worked it out. He made it happen.
Hmm.
So we just thank him. Give the glory all to him.
All right. Well, that's it for us. For this conversation. Hopefully, y'all was able to take something from this and either apply it to your lives or just, resonate with it. Hopefully it's something that you may be done with your family or something that you can start doing with your family. Or like I said, if not at the kitchen table, just somewhere else, uh, for you and your family to fellowship and congregate together. But
Amen.
that's it for us. See y'all next week, next episode. Peace.